and welcome to this recording. I am here with Blanca Abbud. She has been a wonderful inspiration and just an incredible leader in our community. I have nothing but great things to say about her. She is actually one of my mentors and has really, really helped me along the way. She is currently right now a vice president at Engage, and she is, just doing successful things. I mean, how can I not have her on here? I don't want to spoil all the fun. I want her to go ahead and just share a little bit about herself for those who don't know her. So Blanca, can you go ahead and tell me just a little bit more about your story today?
Yeah, so hi everybody. First of all, thanks Erica for having me on your show. I'm really excited about your podcast launch. And so just to tell you a little bit about myself, I'm from El Paso, Texas, born and raised. My name is Blanca Abbud, which my last name is a little bit different. A lot of people ask me that, but I am Mexican and Lebanese. And I moved to San Antonio probably, I think it's going on 13, almost 14 years ago. So graduated from UTEP, go Miners, and came over here to San Antonio very shortly after graduating. So a little bit about that. I've been here ever since. Did I ever think, the success that I have now was going to be the outcome? I don't think so. I don't think I really knew what was going to happen. I just knew that, big things were coming and that I was meant for bigger things. I had a big vision. I'm a big thinker just naturally. So I just knew that I needed to get out of El Paso and really start my career somewhere and pick San Antonio, and it's been a wrap ever since.
Wow, that's just exciting that you really took, that oath to just say, hey, I am moving forward and I'm doing big things and I know I'm going to accomplish them. I know you had graduated high school when you were 16 and you went to college, and then you were also working at the same time. And you had started in sales, and now you are, building your career in that. Did you ever, envision where you are today? Like, if you look back at your younger self and be like, hey, this is where I'm going to be in like a couple of years.
Yeah, that's a good question. No, I never ever thought that. I guess like when you're like in the grind of going to school and working, and I was a single mom. I had my daughter when I was pretty young, but I was 20. I was a junior in college and working full time, going to school full time. You don't really like sit back and say, think what's to come. You're kind of just getting through just that part in your life. So no, I can't really say that I knew this was going to be, what was going to happen. But I just knew that I was working towards a bigger goal, like a bigger picture. So I knew that the things that I was doing at the time were going to pay off, right? Even sometime. I didn't know when, I didn't know how. I just knew that there was a payoff coming. And it took some time. It's a lot of hard work. I want people to understand and realize, people see me and, they see success and they see my business growth. And but it definitely didn't happen overnight. I mean, I went to school for 9 years. I've been in sales 20 plus years. I worked my whole way through college. And I also raised, 2 kids during the process. So it was not an easy undertaking whatsoever, but I have a personality that I like challenges. I like a challenge. So yeah, I mean, it's been challenging. It's been hard. There's times that have been harder than others. I always tell people, like, when I first moved to San Antonio, I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment with my daughter. We slept on an air mattress for like the first 6 months. I mean, and we had really hard times. So you look back and think at those times and then realize where you're at today. It's a big difference.
Wow, and I feel like a lot of people don't really see that behind successful people, that they have a lot of grind and grit and where they came from before that and who they were. I mean, what do you think got you through those hard times?
Well, definitely there's different things I can attribute to that. I would say one, I had a pretty good support network of friends. Most of my family is in El Paso or in Mexico, so I don't have a lot of family, but had a very good support network, a very good network of women that I've developed, that I'm blessed to call friends. So thank you, girls. You know who you are. So just a really great group of women that have supported me. And then, of course, I would say my higher power has really, really helped me through everything. Anytime that I felt that I lacked something or needed something, I was very blessed. I've been blessed throughout the whole time. So I can't take all the credit. You know, there's higher powers working behind the scenes. So
Yeah, you do. I remember when you were mentoring me, you would send me like an email of list of things before our call to like, hey, this is the key points that we're touching on. And yeah, I felt that work that you just put into that is like extraordinary. So I cannot imagine the work that you had put into your actual work. And I know you mentor, as a business, like for yourself and something that you're really passionate about. Can you go ahead and talk to us a little bit more about your business and what that means to you?
yeah, so I mean, right now, currently, I'm the vice president of sales for Engage PEO, and I, even though I don't own the company, right, I do manage it as my business. I take ownership of, what I do every day, and I think that's a big difference. I work for major corporations, but everybody always thinks like, I'm running the show, because I am running the show. But my boss may not think that. No, I'm just playing. Well, it's a fact of taking the ownership, really taking the initiative. Doing things like, I always say it's better to ask for forgiveness than ask permission. Doing things out of initiative besides being told like, hey, do this, do that. So that's really how I manage my business. And I really manage my business in the sense of relationships, right? So I get very close to a lot of my clients, and I'm able to build long-term relationships with a lot of my clients. So I think that's another big key, is building the relationships. Here in Texas, I sell in Texas and I manage the Texas market. So here in Texas, it's all about relationship. And really maintaining those long-term relationships with your clients, with your network, with your circle of influence. So relationships are so important as well.
And how do you do that? If someone is learning how to build relationships, what's the first step?
Yeah, I would say like just be really genuine, and have integrity. Like when you're building these relationships, people can see through, like, if you're fake, or if you're not genuine, or you have an ulterior motive kind of thing, right? So I would say be genuine. I really conduct my business with integrity, and then my clients see that. I'm always going to tell you straight up, like, hey, this is what's going on. I don't sugarcoat things to my clients. I don't lie. I'm like, I give people the straight shot, and I think sometimes people really appreciate that. It's kind of like a breath of fresh air, because they're not used to that. So yeah, so they know they're gonna get the real deal with me for sure. I would say so. Be genuine.
To that, because I know that there are a lot of people out there who are nervous just to say what's on their mind, or kind of tell it like it is. I think there's a difference of saying it with integrity versus being aggressive, but having that integrity and giving it straightforward is really important. I just remember when I was applying to nursing school, and at first I got rejected, and I called you, and you were like, no, let's figure out why, ask them why, and then go from there. And I thought you were just going to tell me like, oh, it's okay, just try again. Like, no, you gave me a straight shot, and you're like, no, let's figure this out and do it. And next thing you know, they were like, hey, this is why. And I actually had, this is why reason. I presented it to them, and they were like, okay, actually, no, you're accepted. So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's such a
Definitely.
benefit, and it is a breath of fresh air because, I wish we had more people, like that in this world.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, and dime a dozen. I don't know what to say about that piece.
Well,
They can take my course.
yeah, can you talk to us a little bit about your course?
Yeah, so I've been working pretty hard, I would say the past 2, 3 years to develop a training program, which I guess I have two sides of it. One is a mentorship program where I really help women coming, entry level, coming into the business world, graduating out of college, and just really not knowing what to do, right? Or how to handle situations. So I developed a mentorship program, and then I developed a sales training program called Boss Sales Training, which is Blanca's overall sales secrets. And really just showing people and talking to them about my best practices, techniques that I've developed throughout the years that I've been in sales, and just kind of dissecting like the overall sales process, and then showing people how I handle my sales process is very different than other people. So I try to show them the Blanca techniques, and Blanca best practices. So that's what I put together in the program. Um, the My website is already launched, so you all can go check it out. Yep, it's peolady.com. And I am launching all three pieces there as far as my business. Yeah, so you guys can see it. One of my program is on there as well. Um, so that's just launched. Then I'm working on some other items to kind of back end on the curriculum for Boss.
That is all very exciting, and also everyone, we have this information on the show notes if you want to go check it out then. Your mentorship program and your sales training program are really incredible. I've got a first take in it myself with the mentorship side, and I remember when we had met years ago, you had just started your sales training program, and now, going forward, I can't believe it's already out.
I know.
I just like wanted to know because I know you've done so many great things and you've really excelled in your career. When times have ever gotten tough, have you ever planned like an exit to quit during those times?
No, no, I'm very far from quitting, and I'm not a quitter. I don't quit on anything. I do things that I'm very passionate about, so it's hard for me to quit, right? Because I'm so passionate. I love what I do so much that I, I mean, quitting's just not really an option. But yeah, I mean, things get tough. I mean, sales is a cutthroat industry. Sales can be um, very competitive. So you really have to, a lot of times, have thick skin. You really have to be passionate about it. If you're not passionate about it, then yeah, it could be easy to quit and give up. But um, if you love what you do, you're passionate about it. And then, of course, I think about my why, right? Why is it that I'm doing this? Why is it that I am pursuing this career? And so, quitting is definitely not an option, not anytime soon. So it's not in my DNA to quit.
Oh, well, it's so good to hear because there's, everyone has a moment in their life where in their career or in their hobby that they're trying to push into a career or again getting into that next step. Times do get tough and it's really hard. And I mean, what Blanca had just said, that quitting isn't an option. I think we all have to really think that way in order to go ahead and excel to that next level and that higher level. That's phenomenal. Do you tell yourself that when times get tough, or do you, tell yourself something every day that keeps on pushing you?
I'm just a naturally like motivated person. So like one of my purposes in life is to motivate other people, right? So I think then by me motivating other people, that motivates me. But I'm naturally just motivated. Like I just wake up and I'm just naturally motivated. Like I don't have to be like, okay, Blanca, like come on, like I mean, of course everybody has bad days, right? But am I like just like dragging myself every day, or no. I think when I first started, I used to read like a lot of motivational quotes, and that would kind of, get me through or get me excited. But it just, my innate, I have an innate ability to just be motivated like all the time. I don't know. I don't know why, but that's just it. And that has led me to believe that that's a purpose of mine, to motivate other people and inspire other people, because I'm naturally good at just being motivated. So
Right. No, absolutely. And a lot of people need that person to push them and to be, their motivator and their biggest.
yeah, I'm the pusher. I'm the pusher for sure. I'm the motivator. I will push people for sure. I don't like average work, so I just don't believe in being mediocre and just producing like subpar things. So I'm definitely the pusher.
And I think that's why, people choose you every time. I mean, like you had mentioned earlier, your line of work is super competitive. I mean, there's so many options to even choose from. Why do you believe people choose you every time, to execute?
I wouldn't say every time, guys. I mean, I want to be realistic, right? So it's not like every time I get a deal, right? Every time I'm going to win the deal, every time I'm going to get the client. It happens. I know not all the time do I get the deal, but I mean, I would say my ratios are higher than most people. And, I mean, it's just a combination of everything that I've talked about the integrity, about the being genuine, about being knowledgeable. And I think all of those things combined, help people choose to go with me. I would also say like my follow through is really, really good. I think a lot of people forget like their follow up, they're following through on what they tell their clients and what they say they're gonna do. I think that's also really important. So having the follow through and then the client seeing that really makes them feel comfortable. And I think I do that. I make them feel comfortable. And I'm very personable. So I can relate a lot to, my clients and what they're going through, and really then offering them that support that they need. So. But I hope everybody picks me soon. I hope that changes, right?
And I mean, I'm so glad you mentioned about your ratios, because you have gotten some no's, what it sounds like. And I know that in the sales industry, because I used to be in sales as well, there was a lot of rejection. And at first it was hard for me to, handle that. And I know you've been in sales for about 20 years. So you really understand what rejection is. But how can someone turn rejection into, positivity for growth?
I guess, the more no's you get, and the closer you are to your yes, right? They always say like, the more no's you get, the closer you are to getting the yes that you want. So, rejection is part of the process. Rejection, if you understand the sales process and really understand sales, like you understand that that's part of sales and that's part of the process. I mean, that's where having, thick skin and really being able to get through the rejection to get to the yes and to get to the acceptance piece. That's part of it. I mean, it's definitely not easy at first. I think, it's an experience. Like, you learn to work well with the rejection, and some people do it very well, some people not so well. So if you don't deal well with rejection, you may not want to be in sales. Because it's part of it, right? So, and you kind of just have to take it gracefully and just say, I've gotten rejected for years, and I always tell my clients, I'm like, you know what, it's okay, because I'm going to be back next year. And you are not going to get rid of me. And that's actually how I've closed a lot of business, because I just go back every year. I actually just signed a client this year in January that rejected me for 6 years. Yeah. So And they were like, wow, you're still back. You're still here. Like, we told you no. Like, don't you understand what that means? I'm like, no, it just means, no, just means not right now. Does that make sense? That's why it's hard for me to accept no for an answer on a lot of things, because to me, yeah, it's rejection maybe at the present time, but it doesn't mean no later or no in the future, right?
Right. That's so powerful. I mean, to have that emotionally and mentally to say, hey, it's not right now. Oh, I love that. I
Yeah,
love that. What?
no is not right now.
Yes. We all should live by that. No is not right now, and just keep on showing up. Not only for the businesses that you're going for and trying to attain, but for yourself. I mean, I feel like it's important, personally, to do that.
Yeah, of course, I agree.
What principles and habits do you follow just for consistency? I know you said no, not right now, but what, like, mentally and emotionally, on the personal habit side, have helped you get to where you are today?
Yeah, so, and I'm gonna share with you guys my routine, but as I've gotten older, like, my routine has gotten better and better, and it's changed, right? So it just comes with experience, it comes with time and maturity, but really just being consistent, right? So you just have to be consistent. You just have to do the same thing every day, and it's like a ritual almost. It's like every day you wake up and you do the same thing. And so one of the classes that I teach is time management and how to manage your time. And so I'm very good at managing my time and getting things done within the time that I get in the day. So I've had people comment that, I get more done in one day than people do in a week. Because I manage my time really well, and I have a routine, and every day I'm on that routine. And I feel like if I get off that routine, like, everything kind of gets out of whack, right? So following the routine, being consistent, and that routine includes, for me, it includes exercising, it includes meditating, it includes, work-life balance. So it's not always work. It's making sure that you also take time for yourself, for self-care, for, decompressing, for recharging, that type of routine. And really, once you get your routine, then you just keep following that. But you have to find what works for you. What works for me may not work for somebody else.
Right. No, absolutely. And I liked that you mentioned this work-life balance, and the decompressing and the meditating side, because a lot of people are always just like work, which is great. I mean, it's great. Like you had mentioned, it works for some people, but work-life balance and taking that time off has really helped, and it seems like it's really helped you, get into that next level as well. But when you had first started, I guess because this is now, like you had mentioned, your routine has changed.
Yes.
When you had first started, what was your routine like, then?
Yeah, my routine was horrible, like horrible. I had no routine, zero. I literally like flew off the seam of my pants, and basically would get super overwhelmed, and I would work like 12, 14 hours. I've told people I used to sleep in my office and wake up and work. I mean, I had zero work-life balance. Had zero routine. It takes time. Like it's a work in progress kind of thing, and you kind of just learn as you go. And after a couple years of doing that, you are like burned out. You're tired. You're burned out. You start, maybe not liking what you do. Maybe second guessing your career, things like that. So, yeah, it definitely was a work in progress. It took a lot of time to get on the routine that I am today. And then I tell people all the time, like, for me to get work-life balance, it took me at least a good 5-6 years in my career to say, okay, I'm able to really just shut it off and turn off my email and just relax and not work. It's hard for somebody like me because, I like to work, and work's not work to me, right? So I can get lost in my work and really just like just go all night and just really, really go all night, all day, and just, like I said, I would take a couple naps here and there in my office and wake up and just work. So it just depends. I mean, I learned that working all the time definitely is not the way to go. Like I mentioned, it could really lead to getting overwhelmed, getting burned out, getting stressed and depressed and all kinds of things. So it's so important to have the routine and the work-life balance. And I learned that, like, it took me time to learn that, and I learned it the hard way. So I'll let everybody that's listening know that don't be like me. don't do that. Really make sure you get on your routine. You do take that time for yourself, for your family, for your kids. If I looked back now, I would have done it sooner.
Yeah, that's incredible to just acknowledge. I mean, burnout and stress is a real thing.
It's a real thing. It is a real thing.
It is pretty scary when it happens, because it makes you second guess yourself, like you had mentioned, on what you're doing. And it sounds like the routine it is always changing, and because you're always growing. Is that right?
Yeah, you're always growing. You get better at what you do. My routine has definitely changed, and that's one of the topics that I talk about, is like the life cycle of just being in sales, like year 1 to year 10 to year 15. It changes. I'm not doing the things that I did year 1 to now year 10. It definitely changes, and so it evolves. It's an evolution. Obviously now I'm well known in the industry. I have repeat business. I have referral business. And that helps me so that I'm not constantly grinding, like I'm having to work so hard, because now I have 10 years of work, 20 years of work that can really help me, so that I don't have to be constantly grinding, sun up to sundown kind of thing. So yeah, it's an evolution for sure.
Right. I remember in year 1, the stories that you used to tell me. You used to create your own pitch, like a sales pitch, and you would, send it to your boss, and you're like, "Hey, I'm doing this."
I would do a lot of things. Year 1 and 2. I would do a lot of crazy things. Yeah. I'm not sure what story that was.
Yes, I remember we were looking at some of your old stuff, and you're like, I remember this. And then now it sounds like, you're working smarter, not harder.
Yeah, I'm definitely working smarter. I mean, I have my presentation down to a T. I can do it with my eyes closed. When I first started, I was like, practice. I tell people the story of, I used to pitch my daughter, I used to pitch her, and I would pitch my boss, and I would pitch like anybody that would hear me. I would pitch them and try to sell them and try to close them. And that got me, where I am now, where it's like, okay, my pitch is already perfected. My presentation's already perfected. I already know what I'm going to say, do. But yeah, year 1 and year 2, I was like, I would present in front of anybody that would even like listen to me and like sit down and hear me. And yeah, I would pitch. I would change my pitch all the time. I would perfect it and practice it so much. And I think a lot of people maybe in sales forget to practice their pitch. They forget to practice, and they're not even good at it. I have had people call me after my presentations and have been like, that is the best presentation I've ever had in my whole life. Like, wow. So, and that has happened to me several times, where I have had owners or somebody that I'm presenting to that have literally like told me like, that is the best I've ever heard. I mean, and that's years of practice. That is years and years of practice. So, and what I would do is I would practice in front of anybody that would listen to me and hear me out. And so it took a lot of work for sure. A lot of practicing in front of the mirror and in front of anybody, my daughter, my kids, stuffed animals, whoever, your phone.
Whoever would listen.
your dog. Whatever.
You know, starting out and wanting, like, seeing the big picture, like, hey, one day I'm going to be vice president of a company, a corporation. I know I am. And that's like the bigger picture for them. But then they're starting off at the beginning and they're like, okay, but right now, what can I do to, you know, get better? I mean, this is great stuff, people. All you have to do is practice and be humble enough to do it and be confident enough to do it. I mean, confidence, I know, for me, it was something that I had to build, and confidence, I think, for Blanca is something that I don't know if you always had. And that's just incredible. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're diamond a dozen, like you had mentioned. You've always, you know, just been confident to do it.
Yeah, you know, I have a very high confidence level internally, but you know, they say like fake it till you make it or things like that. But even when I started in my industry, I wouldn't tell people like, oh, you know, how long have you been doing this? Like 1 month. I would be like, oh, forever. I've been doing this forever. I've been doing this since I was born. I've been doing this since I was born. You know, I've been doing this since I was 5 years old. Like, I mean, you just have to be so extra confident that people will not question you. And yeah, I mean, that's a skill, right? But you got to have the confidence, because if you are not confident in yourself, then people are not going to be confident in you.
Oh, that's so important. That's so important. Confidence is definitely the key.
Yes, confidence is key.
One skill out of many that,
yes,
you know, a lot of most successful people have, or just growing into like who you are today have. What do you think are some of, like, I guess the top 3 skills that someone, you know, should have or can have, you know, to do this?
To do what part? The confidence, or just, I'm sorry, I missed that. Can you repeat that?
Oh,
sorry.
No, totally fine. The skill to go ahead and, you know, close that deal or be a vice president, or, you know, go from, you know, one position, you know, to the next.
Right. So, well, I talked about practice. Definitely practicing. Number 1, I would say practice. I would say being prepared. Nothing kills a deal like not being prepared. You will sink so quick if you are not prepared. I try to prepare before every meeting. My preparation is not like as much anymore, but man, I used to like prepare, and if it was a big meeting, I would be so hard on myself. And even when I started giving live speeches and giving speeches in front of people, I would prepare so much and practice so much. People would make fun of me. They would be like, you got this, like chill, like you got this. And I'd be like, no, one more time, you know, like, so practicing, being prepared. And then I would say, just 3.
I know, there's so many.
There's so many. I would say, you know, I mean, you know, not giving up, having the end game in mind, and just not giving up, knowing that what you're doing now is like for a bigger picture, a bigger goal. So I would say those would be definitely the top 3. And I would say to anybody in sales that is in sales, I would say, like, you know, make sure that is your career path, and that's really what you want to do and you're passionate about that. I feel like sometimes people are in sales just to be in sales, like, and that's not really what they want to do. And that could be with any career, not just sales, but sometimes people are like in a career and they like hate it, you know, and they're just like miserable every day. So just making sure that that's really what you want to do, and that's what you're passionate about. I wouldn't be in any other industry ever, because I know that that's what I was meant to do.